Hi everybody, it's Julie. Welcome to Hello Monday. Now I know it's August and I know it's wicked hot and it's early and you're gonna want to flog me, but I just had to share this card that I made with the elf from the new Essentials by Ellen holiday release because I think he's so stinking cute. So I'm gonna start by taking the elf and I'm gonna lay him down onto a quarter sheet of watercolor paper, and this is generally where I want him to appear, especially if I'm doing mass production. I'm going to use the stamp press and the register marks there so that when I do this multiple times, he always lands in the same general position there for my layout. And I'm going to ink him up with jet black archival ink because I want to do some watercoloring. And here you can see how I'm using those register marks and how it helps for mass production. And get him pressed into place there, and then I can go ahead and start watercoloring. And I'm going to be using the Peerless watercolors, and I've made my own portable palette here, and I'll have a link at the end of the video for you to go and see how I did that if you want to make your own. But in the meantime, I'm just going to slop the color on. I'm doing kind of a light wash and just going to color in his features. I don't really take too much time when I watercolor. I just slop the color on, leave some dark spots, leave some light spots, and as my brush runs out of color before I reload, I put some on his cheeks there so that he looks nice and healthy and he's not a stone cold elf. So now I've got his hair done, and I always have paper towel handy with me to blot up any excess water, or maybe if I get too much color there, that's what the paper towel is handy for. And then to make the snow angel effect, I'm just going to trace that general shape of a snow angel around him with some blue color, and I'm kind of filling that in, and then I'm going to go back over it with my water brush and more water, and then kind of fade it out and spread it out a little bit, because a snow angel does not make a super harsh line. You know, when you're in the snow, it's kind of a sloppy, sweepy look in the snow. So that's what I'm trying to duplicate there with my watercolor. So I'm just going to continue adding more water and washing that out a little bit and spreading it out just a little, and dab up the excess there with my napkin or paper towel. And then I had to have some accent images in there just for added interest. So I'm going to take a couple of the snowflakes and ink those with black and go ahead and get a trio of snowflakes, because that odd number makes the eye happy, and I always love to have those odd numbers of sprinkles going on, whether it's pearls or enamel dots or snowflakes. So I'm going to take a 2A glue pen. This has a nice chisel nib, and I have to keep tilting the paper in the light because I can't see. I need a new prescription for my trifocals, I tell you. And so I'm not seeing the glue line when I'm laying it down, but it goes on blue, but it will dry clear. So don't be alarmed if you have never used this pen before. I love that pen. Use it all the time. And here you can see I'm going to go ahead now and cover the glue lines that I made with some Prismaglitter. And this is going to make it look even more like sparkly, shimmery snow. And I need to refill my bucket. I'm getting low on my Prismaglitter. This is not a good thing. Everything else sparkles, so maybe that is not such a bad thing after all. Now to finish it, I need to stamp a sentiment, so I'm going to take the Embrace Your Inner Elf and emboss that in white on some black cardstock. I had a scrap here, and I'm prepping it with the powder tool. And this will help eliminate any moisture, like oil from my skin getting on the paper surface, or if there's any moisture at all, it's going to eliminate that and help cut down on the static cling that might occur. And then when I stamp my image with Versamark, the white embossing powder will stick to the Versamark and not everywhere else, although I still had a little bit of trouble with the static electricity there. But anyway, just a couple flicks and I got the rest of the stray powder off. And then I preheated my tool there for a few minutes and then went ahead and embossed that. And you can see the powder tool does leave some residue, and especially on black cardstock, it's kind of ruining my black cardstock finish. So to resolve that, I just take my white eraser and I gently go over the embossing lines, and then I can be a little bit more aggressive on just the plain black cardstock to remove all that residue from the powder tool. And then I take a Swiffer cloth to just buff off the eraser shavings. It'll pick them up and clean that up real nice. And then I can take my tonic guillotine trimmer and trim that out nice and straight. I try to do it with my, if I want a wonky cut, I'll use my scissors, but if I want it nice and straight, then I have to use my tonic for that. So I'll go ahead and staple that with the tiny attacher tool because I love those baby staples. and then a little bit of adhesive on the back, and I did curl up the edges, the outer edges there, because I wanted it to have just a little bit more dimension on a Nina Solar White A2 base card that I already made and set aside. And then I'm going to accent his little collar there with some lime stickles, and then for the top of his little cap I got to put a pom-pom on there because I mean it's just too cute, it's begging for one. So some multi-medium in the matte finish, and I'm just going to hold a little white craft pom-pom there in place. And there you can see, isn't he cute? I just think that is one of the funnest Christmas cards ever. I love how he turned out. You can click on this page right here to go to the Peerless Portable Palette tutorial. It's a video, and we also have an In Touch newsletter article that you can also go visit to see more details. All the supplies are available at ellenhutson.com, and thanks for watching.